Nut Nerd Podcast, Episode 280, Apple's Spring-Loaded Event.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better and just talk about Apple's crazy packed event that we just got done watching. Here with me, we're live in person. We sat next to each other holding hands to watch Apple's Spring-Loaded event is Mr. Dave Baylor.
Yes, across the nation, across the world, we watched the event and we took great notes, and we're going to talk about all the impact that these new products from Apple are going to have in our lives and yours.
Yes. So the event was almost exactly an hour long. They pre-produced them. It was a remote event, streamed live, all that stuff. And we discussed before the show that we could easily talk for longer than an hour on this episode, but we're going to try to keep it short and give you the points you need of what they announced. We start off with the video production. Again, I say this every time. Go watch the video, at least watch some clips of it. The video production is just amazing, as we both create videos and are working on creating more videos for Not Nerd. Please be patient.
Yeah.
They do an amazing job, and it was really cool to watch. But we start off with the man himself, Tim Cook, who made several appearances throughout. He talked about the environment, as they often do. And just their impact on that and how they're trying not to impact the environment negatively.
Yes, it all boils down to their carbon footprint.
Yes.
And Apple, more than many of the companies that we see in the world today, take a really dramatic attempt to lower their carbon footprint, not use toxic metals and arsenic-free glass is always a thing, and I'm like, why did they need arsenic in glass to begin with? I need to go watch some YouTube on how you make glass or whatever. But they always try very hard, and so Papa Tim gave us the update we needed. And then he jumped right into service updates.
Yes.
And man, he wasted no time getting right to the service updates, because services are a huge part of Apple's income these days.
Yeah.
And he talked about the Apple Card. And now you can do a spousal or partner credit line merger. I did not know this was a thing. Like if I have the Apple, or if I have a credit card or something, my spouse's credit limit doesn't increase or decrease.
Yeah, credit score
credit
isn't
score,
affected by your
limit.
credit cards. And so now they've got they can merge them so you can both. And
it's equity or whatever. Equitable is the word I'm looking for. And then also, this makes sense. Apple's had their family sharing for all their products. You buy an app on your phone, and your family members can use the app and all these different things and the data you purchase, etc. Well, now that's extending to the Apple Card, and you can have Apple Card family. So I have 2 kids, for example, and if I wanted to have an Apple Card, my spouse and my kids could utilize a segment of that Apple Card to do purchases and stuff. I could set it up so it's on their devices. So when they go to the store, maybe my son has a limit of like $5 a week that he can spend, and my daughter has $4. We're not very rich here in the Baylor household, but you get the idea. You can give them kind of an allowance to use for the Apple Card.
Yeah. And then they moved right into podcasts, and they talked about the fact that when they launched podcasts, they showed an image way back in the day with iTunes and an iPod, and they had 3,000 shows. Now they have millions, which if you listen last week or the week before, we talked about how there's millions listed, and there's very few of those are actually active, like we are.
Right.
But they are doing a new interface, and they're doing new channels with subscriptions, which now we know why they switched it from subscription to follow, which we also talked about a month ago.
Yeah.
So they're going to have, and I didn't really understand all that they were saying with that, but if they're going to be their own podcasts, or if anybody could kind of sign up and do like a Patreon thing,
like
or
if they have
all
a
these
program,
different services have now for subscriptions, but they're going to build that into podcasts. So that will be, I'm sure we'll hear lots more about that.
It's all very fresh and new, so more to come on that. Then they switched on over to the iPhone, and this was out of left field. We knew that new iPhones 12 and 12 Pro came out last September, and of course you and I both bought the Pros, and many people since then have bought many iPhone 12s, and now for those who didn't and who were waiting for a new color, they can now buy the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 mini, not the Pros, in purple. So
yeah,
if you're a fan of the Vikings or the Lakers or my hometown, the Wescan Coyotes, you could certainly get a purple phone.
Or my daughter, who loves purple.
Is purple her favorite color?
Yes, and I will say, I think everything that they released today looks like April 30th is the big release date. So the event is on April 20th, 420 day.
Yeah.
So 10 days. So the end of next week, you'll be able to pre-order things, including these purple phones. Then finally, Dave, we finally got it. 2 years, there has been rumors about the AirTag. Mm-hmm. They finally announced it. It looks very much like the size of the little tracker devices, like the size of a quarter.
Yeah, they're about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yes, it's got a little metal with an Apple logo on there. You can personalize them with text and even emoji, she said, as she was announcing, whoever that was. They had a lot of people in this presentation, so keeping names straight is not going to happen.
That particular one was Carolyn Wolfman.
Oh,
Estrada.
yes.
But I didn't record all the names, and in fact, I deleted a few after I had written them down because, like you said, there was a whole cast of characters today. But the important thing is, yes, the long-awaited AirTags are finally out. Now, Nate, what is your favorite feature about this quarter-sized little tracker?
Well, there was a lot of features coming at us quickly. Obviously, it's going to work great with all my Apple devices. They have something built in on your iPhone where it will kind of show you which direction things are to help you find things. I didn't see if you can use that to find your phone, because that's something with the trackers and the tiles that you were able to do. I'm hoping that's there.
Yeah,
if there's some sort of button or interface where you can force
I feel like the whole thing is a button, maybe.
Yes.
You just squish the whole thing. But that was not covered, so who knows?
Yes.
It would be nice, but I'm thinking Apple's probably saying, well, you can do that with your iPad, or you can do it with your Apple Watch, or you can go to iCloud.com and do it from there.
There's lots of ways to do that stuff. They do have accessories, keychains, and loops, so you can attach it to other things. They showed, like, on your bag. Now, in the past with trackers and tiles, I don't want it hanging off the side of my bag or my luggage. I'm going to put it in somewhere so somebody doesn't see it right away, rip it off and throw it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it does work with the new super secure Find My network, like we talked about with the other products that have been introduced just last week. Mm-hmm. It's all coming together now. But if somebody, let's say, steals my backpack, they're running through the airport, anybody that has Find My turned on with their iPhones, it will integrate securely with those, so I'd be able to track it there. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a great feature. There's some unwanted tag detection, rotating identifiers, all the security stuff that Apple prides themselves in. But I think maybe my favorite feature is the price, because it's Apple. They could charge $49, $70. What would you pay? $79, $99 for these things? $29 or a 4-pack for $99.
Which is very comparable to the other ones. The tracker with no E, just tracker, that product is a little bit less expensive, and the tile is slightly less expensive, but not by much. And some of their products are even exceed that price. So I think if you're in the Apple ecosystem, this is a no-brainer.
Yep.
I do not plan on buying any more tiles. I've been waiting for this product. I keep replacing the batteries in those tiles, which can have a battery replacement. And then I'm going to switch to AirTags. So I will be one of the first to try these out, because I'm just curious how they work.
Yeah, speaking of my backpack, which is a whole episode in itself someday that we could do with the Not Nerd podcast. I was cleaning it out, as I have to do every once in a while, because it just gets stuffed full of stuff. And in different crevices and cracks of the backpack, it's got a lot of pockets. I think I found 3 different dead tiles and trackers that were in there. So
that's where they go to die.
And it did say that the battery life, they'll last up to a year, I believe they said, and the battery is replaceable, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be learning more about those. They didn't spend a ton of time on it, but I think this is a huge thing for people in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm guessing they use one of those watch type batteries, like what is the CR2032, which is in everything. I'm hoping so. But yeah, that's great. I'm excited for that product.
Yes. And next, finally, more than the AirTag finally, this is a bigger finally, more exclamation points. They start talking about Apple TV, and we've got a new Apple TV, but more than importantly than a new Apple TV, we have a new Apple TV remote, and it looks wonderful.
And they could have ended the broadcast here. It's like, see you later, see you next year, and we would have been satisfied. Yes, the new Apple TV remote. Well, before we get to the remote, though, like what's different on the Apple TV? Well, not that much. It's still the Apple TV 4K. It's not the 8K or 16K. It's the 4K, but they've got a new faster chip. They've got the HDR high frame rate capability. It's got the Dolby 60 frame per second stuff that, like, if you film with your iPhone 12 Pro, you can view those things on the Apple TV now. Before, it kind of had to dumb it down because the last Apple TV 4K came out like 4 years ago or something like that.
3 or 4 years.
That technology didn't exist then. So now it's in more parity with what you shoot with your phone, you can actually see on your Apple TV. Of course, you have to have an accompanying television set that can also display those things. But color balance, Apple TV works with your iPhone to balance the color. It's like one of those spider devices that you used to get for like your computer monitor. You plug in this USB thing and then you put it on your screen and it samples the color and it gives you a color profile that matches what it should be, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now you take your phone out into the middle of your room and you point it at the TV and it will automatically adjust the color, brightness, balance, and everything of your screen to match what it should be. So that's cool.
Yes.
So that's just what's inside the box. Now the remote. What is different about this remote, Nate, that makes it so exciting?
Yes. Well, it is aluminium, as
course.
Sir Johnny Ive would say. So it is now silver instead of black, which will make it easier to find.
Much easier to find.
It does look like it's maybe a little bit longer, but the important part is the top 33% of the remote, where the current one is just this touchpad, weird to use, always pressing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Now, like every other smart remote out there, it has a round area, which is still the touch sensitive, so you can do the quick stuff and the gaming stuff, but it also has directional clicks.
Yes.
Like you would expect on every single remote.
An up click, a down click, a left click, a right click. Yeah.
And then one of the things I realized, because instead of trying to hit the 15-second skip for commercials, like when I'm watching a Blazer game, I try to swipe my finger, and it is really hard to get that exactly. I've actually learned to roll my finger some, but even that still doesn't work. The outside of this new area is like the old iPod click wheel where you can scroll around for fine tuning. I mean, this is what it should have been all along. Other than that, they didn't mention if it has Find My built into it, which is something people have recommended, that, you know, this new, basically having an AirTag built into it.
My guess is it does not, just because of price concerns. But why can't you just glue one on the bottom of the thing? That's not very elegant.
Yeah, that's not very Apple-like. So, and they moved the Siri button to the side like iPhone.
I got it. They're going to release an all Corinthian leather sleeve
sleeve
that you put an AirTag and your remote into.
Oh, yes.
And it works together in this beautiful $79 sleeve made of leather.
Yes, but no, the remote looks great. So the new, and it sounds like they got rid of just the non-4K Apple TV, because everything's pretty much 4K these days.
Yeah.
So again, we were trying to figure out why they have a 32 gigabyte and a 64 gigabyte model, but it's $179 and $199, so it's only a $20 difference. But there are a lot of upgrades in this. But before we started recording, after watching the event, I did see a tweet from Joanna Stern at, I believe, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, I
think Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal. She's one of the big tech people. She said that it will be available as a standalone purchase, the remote, for $59. So if you have an Apple TV that's working good enough for you, you can get this new remote, and so that would be well worth the price for just getting the remote. Apple TV standalone remote could be Apple's best-selling product of the quarter.
Yeah. If you don't want to upgrade the hardware, get the new remote and
yes,
make your life so much better.
Yes. And then we turn it, they covered everything in this one. They talked about the Mac and the success of the new M1 processor Macs, which you have. I've tried out. Everybody's loving the performance, the energy, all of that stuff is great. Well, they've had the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, but now they announced a 24-inch iMac with the M1 chip.
Yeah, I keep calling this the 21.5-inch iMac, which was the hardest thing to say forever. And then I got used to saying the 21.5-inch iMac, and now it's just 24-inch.
Yes.
Basically the same footprint, but a larger screen and a thinner screen.
Yes.
We watched this animation there that our jaws were both on the ground. They went through how in the old iMac with the processor and the heat sinks and the fans and all this stuff, it was this gigantic piece of tech inside the back of an iMac. Well, now with the new M1 chip, it doesn't need all of that overhead. It doesn't need the power. It doesn't need the heat sink. It doesn't need any of this stuff. And they've taken the power supply and taken it out of the iMac and put it in line in the cord, which many companies do that, and they've done it before on other products. And so it leaves you with this ultra thin monitor, basically, with a small bezel along the bottom that houses the entire contents of the computer. The logic board, the fans, the speakers, all the sensors, everything are contained in about a 4-inch by 18-inch strip. It's very crazy.
No, it looks impressive. In one of the images, I couldn't quite tell, but it looks near the thickness of an iPad. Like this is definitely the next generation. These are going to be awesome. They come in 7 colors, I believe, white, and then 6 very vibrant colors.
I think if you get the entry-level model, it's only available like in 4 colors. And, and if you get the expanded model with like more RAM and more hard drive space, you can have more color options as well.
Which is reminiscent of the original bubble-colored iMacs. They had the same thing. If you wanted the purple, you had to pay more, or the space gray, whatever they called that one.
Yeah, they've got like an aquamarine, a yellow, an orange, a red, like a purplish, a more bluish, and then just a silver plain Jane, which probably will be their bestseller. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, but
they should have called it Snow.
Snow, yes, like the Snow iMac. Oh, memories. But they start at $12.99, $14.99. Oh, and they got new keyboards, one with Touch ID. This is the first time on a non-laptop that they've had Touch ID, so they've figured that out. They've changed it around a little bit, but yeah, these iMacs. If you are an iMac person and don't need all the crazy power, wait a little bit if you do. But for just an iMac for like the family, these things are going to be amazing. They're going to be really impressive. And again, April 30th, available in May. So the pre-orders for all this stuff, I think, is April 30th. And then they were kind of saying, second half of May, you'll actually get your stuff.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yes.
Nonetheless.
And then they kept coming at us with a new iPad Pro.
Yeah, all while they're on this walk through the campus with Father Tim out there telling us everything on a short 1-hour walk. He revealed all of these products. And but this particular one, there's a figure running across the Apple building, the circular spaceship building, diving through air ducts down into the basement.
Mission Impossible-esque.
Very Mission Impossible style. This figure steals the M1 chip from the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro line, and then takes it back upstairs to another super secret venue and opens up the iPad Pro and sticks the M1 chip inside. And spoiler, it was Tim Cook all along. He takes off his mask, and it's Tim Cook. But the point being, they've now removed the A line of computer chips from the iPad Pro and have replaced that with the M1 chip, which is the chip they developed newly for the iMacs and the MacBook Pros. So there's a lot of crossover happening. Now, Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the M1 chip also It's only in the Pro line. They didn't say anything about the Airs.
No,
They didn't say
no,
anything about the regular.
just the iPad Pro.
Yeah,
These new iPad Pro.
And so that's the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch Pro models. It's not coming to date to the other lines, the Air and the regular iPad. So what else is in this beast of a iPad?
Oh, well, they added for the cellular models, you can get 5G, which is, faster speeds where available. They even said, I told Dave during the event, one of the few disclaimers you'll ever hear in an Apple event, they said, depending on your carrier in your area, results may vary.
Yeah,
and it's
basically
yes.
Giant asterisk there.
Yes, but they updated the cameras, and we're not quite sure. It looks like it's got the same cameras as the iPhone, which would make sense to be able to implement all of that stuff.
And last year they released the iPad Pro with the new LiDAR sensor on the back. Well, that continues with the better camera array, and then they have the FaceTime camera on the front that also has the Face ID sensor. All of these things, again, very similar to what we saw on the Pro iPads last year, but I think they've cranked them up a notch this time. Watch us find out later they're the exact same thing.
Yes.
They've just talked about them in a different way. But nonetheless, they're great cameras. They're just like your iPhone Pro.
And they actually, the front-facing camera, they talked about, it has a new feature where it's an ultra-wide camera, and they have a new software thing called Center Stage where it's taking a wide shot, but it'll focus in on you and zoom. So like if you're recording they showed a video in the kitchen and the guy's cooking, he's kind of close to the camera, then he walks over the stove, it kind of pans and zooms a little bit, then his daughter walks in, it widens out and finds both of their faces. So that's going to be a very interesting thing for the front facing camera, and the rear looks just like the iPhone 12 Pros.
Yeah. And what's cool about that is a wide angle camera similar to a fisheye lens, and it can see these ultra wide angles, and so it just takes a piece of the footage that it's seeing and kind of crops it in and uses AI, I'm sure, to intelligently see. And it's very reminiscent of Amazon's product that they released. I can't even remember what it's called. The Show something you put in your kitchen.
Yes.
And it actually rotates and moves up and down and everything. This does not do that. It uses its wide field vision to kind of move the frame around. And so I'm interested to see how well it works.
Yes. And then for the larger 12.9-inch iPad Pro, they talked about the fact that the display is all new. They're using the mini LED technology, which has been rumored for a long time. But basically the Pro XDR display, the one that's $3,000 or something like that.
More than my car.
They're saying this 12.9-inch iPad Pro has the same technology and quality of that display. So the 12.9-inch iPad Pro's screen is, from what Apple told us, is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't get that on the 11-inch, so you have the trade-off with the size. Obviously,
you
they
have
have more
the crappy
room to
old
do that.
liquid display on that one. Oh, the
Yes.
garbage. I'm just kidding. That display is incredible. But this one's going to be even more incredible. And it talked about having 1,000 nits of brightness regularly, and then it can boost up to 1,600 nits of brightness. And that's a very bright display. And of course, it has the 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio. All the big numbers that you can imagine. It's about time that some of this technology came to the iPad Pro, because a lot of photographers, videographers, people who make movies, like I've seen technology where you can have real-time updates, like in San Francisco, of a movie that's being shot in New York, and you can look at everything on your iPhone or your iPad or whatever. This is really going to help assist those industries with very accurate information so that they can continue to make things more visually appealing.
Yes. And I am just clicking real quick on the Apple website. So they did introduce a 2 terabyte storage option on the new iPad Pros. So the 12.9-inch iPad Pro with cellular and the 2 terabyte storage will only cost you a mere $2,399.
Yikes. And you're well within MacBook territory at that point, where you can just buy a computer.
Well, $2,400. Yeah, you can blow past the new M1 Max. But the 11-inch starts at $799 and the 12.9-inch starts at $1,099. But these new iPad Pros look amazing. And again, April 30th. in the sake of time, that was pretty much the end of it. Tim came back out and said some things. So we got the important things. AirTags, the Apple TV remote is the key there. The new iMac and the iPad Pro. Dave, what are your thoughts on the products they announced today as far as your life goes?
Yeah, I'm most excited about the AirTags because we've been waiting forever, and they're affordable enough for me to try one or two out and not break the bank. I've been greasing the skids for a purchase here in my home of the new Apple TV for like 2.5 years. I have said the second the new Apple TV drops, we're buying it. And so I'm going to get one. And I'm kind of waffling on whether I'm going to spend the $179 for the 32 or the $199 for the 64, hoping to future-proof it somehow.
Yes.
I'll probably just be wasting my money if I
the extra $20.
Yeah. And then again, it's like, well, is it worth the extra $20 to just not have the
Yeah.
The iMac is incredible, but you and I spoke. It really wouldn't be an upgrade from the M1 MacBook Pro that I have now. So I'll probably wait until they innovate more in that space. And then the iPad Pro. I have wanted a new iPad for so long, and I use it for a lot of stuff.
Yes, you do.
But I'm thinking if I were to get one, it would probably be the 11-inch or the iPad Air, which is such a great value.
Yes, yeah.
So in summary, AirTags and Apple TV are my two big picks for this event. What about you?
Yes, I think for me, I'm definitely going to get some AirTags. I will at least get the Apple TV remote, but I'll probably upgrade it because I don't even have the 4K one. Now that I have a 4K TV, it probably makes sense to do the upgrade.
And we looked at the difference, and it wasn't as great. We could tell the difference.
Yes, it still looks great on my TV, even with the current one I have. And then the iPad Pro, my iPad Pro is, I think, 3 years old. I lose track of time, but I don't use it a ton, but I've really wanted to get a new iPad for a while, so I might, we'll see. Maybe I'll wait to see if they announce the new 16-inch MacBook Pros at WWDC, and then kind of make a decision of what I'm going to upgrade. But man, these
and that's a good point. The WWDC event is coming up just in a couple months, and so they typically release or at least talk about new products then. So if you're kind of waffling on these like I am, and you're like, I don't know, maybe I should wait. Well, go ahead and wait. I mean, they're always coming out with new stuff, and I'm sure later this summer or early fall they're going to come out with more products. And of course, September is iPhone season, and then into the Christmas buying season they're going to update all these products, probably with new AirPod Pros and all of these things. So when is the best time to buy an Apple product? When you need or want an Apple product. There's always going to be something new coming out.
Focus on the want sometimes for me, but yes, I am excited about these products. We've been waiting for the Apple event, and they came through and announced, I think, pretty much everything that was kind of rumored to be announced. Sometimes there'll be all these rumors and then there's just no mention of things. I will also mention, I saw somewhere, and I will believe it's accurate, that we were waiting for iOS and all the OS 14.5, which has a bunch of new features. It looks like that'll be sometime next week, but we're still learning a lot. We'll probably talk about it more next week, but we wanted, right after watching the event, we wanted to stay together, record an episode, and then try to get it turned around so that you guys can get our take and learn what Apple talked about today.
Yes.
So with that, we will wrap it up. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with a more normal episode next week, I am sure. Make sure you share it with a friend and get out there and tech better. 3, 2, 1.